Our first guest tonight is an Emmy and Golden Globe winning actor who currently stars as Logan Roy in Succession. The season 3 finale airs this Sunday at 9 p.m. on HBO and is available to stream on HBO Max. Please welcome to the show, Brian Cox. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time and would love you in Succession. I've been lucky enough to have some of your castmates on the show, and I ask them on camera, what is Brian like in real life? And they've said you're a sweetheart and a teddy bear, but in both cases, like maybe they didn't quite mean it.
It's in their interests not to mean it.
Yeah. It's such a fantastic, for anyone who is behind enough not to be watching Succession, you play the patriarch of this, media family and of sort of at their core, really awful people. But I read it, you say, it was very important to you when you took the part that the character Logan Roy, you asked the creator of the show, does he love his children?
Yeah.
Why was that an important question for you to ask him?
Because he seems to be a man who is loveless. And it's very important that people know that, well, actually, it's not important that the audience knows at all, but it's very important that I knew that I did indeed love my children. And of course, once you have that in mind and that as part of you, that enables you to do all kinds of things within the role. And sometimes you obfuscate, you don't tell the truth about your situation. And he does that a lot. He keeps people at a distance, almost deliberately, And it's also, he's got his own crap as well,
It works, the show. I think one of the reasons people are drawn to it, it works incredibly well as a drama. It's also deeply funny.
Very funny.
You have some incredible lines on the show. Are they as much fun to say as they are to hear when watching?
Yeah, I mean, they are, especially when they give them to you at the last minute.
Okay, so they're not in the script
They're not
se.
in the script, and then suddenly he'll say, why don't you say that your tastes like cream cheese when it uh-uhs? And I go, oh, okay, fine. So I walk on and I do your tastes like when it uh-uhs. And then I've said it and it's done and it's out there.
If you have a catchphrase, I'm going to show you that we don't have to do what you've been doing. If you have a catchphrase, it's off.
Okay.
Yeah. And you actually wore, it was very appropriately on a mask when you... Is that something that now, is the character popular enough that fans want you to say it to them?
Oh, all the time. I mean, it's one of the great things to say to somebody.
Yeah.
Because, they'll come up to you and say, could you say off? And you go, off.
Really nice. It's really nice.
It's so easy. My best story about that, and this is absolutely true. So I'm in LA, and it was at the time of the Golden Globes, and Rosanna Arquette, who's a lovely lady, invited me to, we did a movie together. She invites me to this afternoon with Ronan Farrow, and he's reading from his book, and it's very intense and very incredible what he's writing about. And all these Hollywood women are completely attentive to him, as he's going through chapter and verse of his book, and it's amazing work. And so I arrive late, so I'm standing at the back, and I'm looking at this and thinking, wow, this is intense. This is really intense, all this stuff. And then he finishes, and they give him a round of applause, and then they turn around and they see me. And they all come at me, and they take their device out, and they say, can you tell me to off? And you go, this is a Me Too meeting. And I am a white dinosaur. And you're asking this white dinosaur at this Me Too meeting to tell you to off? Something doesn't seem right.
Right. Sounds like a trap.
Oh, it does. But also, and that's human nature.
Yeah.
People
like what they like. It doesn't matter the context.
And human beings are so confused.
When I watched Logan Roy, when I saw you in the part, I thought the first time I ever saw you on film was Manhunter. Which is a great film.
You're not old enough, surely.
No, I worked in a video store, so I got to, I got to watch, I got to rent videos, and Manhunter, for people who don't know, you played Hannibal Lecter for the first time on film in this fantastic Michael Mann movie. And I would imagine, is it the similar, because you've obviously played a lot of villains throughout your career, some fictional, some real life. Do you always approach it the same way as Logan Roy? Do you have to find some part of them to be empathetic towards?
Well, you have to find, the rule number one is when you play a role, you don't judge. You must never judge, because that guides you into all kinds of territory which is meaningless. So you don't judge who you're playing. You play it from his point of view, and however confused that point of view may be. And you have to find a way into that. And that's, to me, part of the craft of being an actor. You have to actually make it real, make it true. And so you don't, I mean, if you're playing Hermann Göring, for example, who is regarded as probably one of the most vile people of the 20th century, that his background was very complicated because he was a major flyer in the German Air Force. He abandoned his plays in Switzerland because he was disgusted by the Treaty of Versailles. He then went and had a nervous breakdown and lived in Sweden for some time. Then he came back and he noticed that this young painter from Vienna was stirring everything up, and he put his whole thing towards the future of Adolf Hitler. So you realize that there's a man who came from a certain point of view and arrived at a pretty hideous point of view, and I think that's life. That's what happens.
I'm reading your book, which is fantastic. We were talking about it backstage, and you said something about being an actor, which stuck with me. You said every day is a school day. Yeah. Is that something that, obviously, you've been doing this for a long time, started in stage, been doing film and television now for a great many years. Do you feel like you're learning something new every day?
All the time. You never stop learning.
And are you learning it from your own trial and error or from the people you work with?
No, I mean, it's basically from one's own trial and error, but you're also learning from the struggles of others as well, that you see around you, and you see, why is there a problem there? And then you examine their relationship to that problem and how they solve that problem, and that's great. I mean, that's a wonderful thing to be part of. Because in my book, I was accused of disrespecting certain actors recently. And I don't disrespect anybody that's involved in this profession, because it's too hard a profession to disrespect. I do have reservations about certain talent. And I'll just say, well, I'm not sure that guy or that gal is quite this or that, but that's the way it is. But I certainly would not disrespect, because it's a tough job, but it's a joyous job at the same time.
I would imagine, too, you end up, performing with people who have very different approaches. There was just a fascinating profile about the wonderful actor Jeremy Strong, who's in your show. And it strikes me that his approach to it is very different from maybe the fellow castmates. Is that...
It certainly is. I mean, it certainly is. I mean, the thing about Jeremy's approach is it works in terms of what comes out the other end. My problem with... And it's not a problem. I don't have a problem with Jeremy, because he's delightful. He's absolutely, he's one of the best fathers I've ever come across. He has these 3 little girls, and he's an extraordinary dad. I mean, he really is. He's a pretty unique individual. But he does get obsessed with the work. And I worry about what it does to him. Because if you can't separate yourself, because you're dealing with all this material every day. You can't live in it. Eventually you get worn out. Like, to me, Dan Day-Lewis got worn out at 55. He decided to retire because he couldn't go on doing that every day. It was too consuming. And I do worry about it. But the result, whatever one says about Jeremy, the result is always extraordinary and excellent.
Can I, yeah, please, for Jeremy. Can I take a moment? I have a very good Kendall Roy impression I'd like to do for you.
Yeah.
Dad? Really good, right?
It's that face. Yeah. He has that face.
I have a face. I have a good starting point face for a Kendall.
Yeah, very good Kendall Roy face.
The thing, I had to, my whole day was working on that.
Well, you did it very well.
Thank you.
And it was so incredibly brief.
Thank you. Well, that's, I don't know what you heard from your acting teachers, but mine always said after they watched me, they said, maybe shorter?
So you clearly learned the lesson.
Just keep it shorter. They're like, try brief. But you talk, you've obviously played, a lot of Shakespeare on stage, and that strikes me as a very grueling a part of your early career and even later career, like doing a stage work like that. Does it, like when you find yourself doing television, does it feel like a relief compared to those days?
No, I mean, television has a different set of problems. I mean, you have to sustain, for one thing, and you have these times. I mean, I'm very lucky because I'm blessed with probably the best crew that I've ever worked with. And they're fast, and you never notice the hanging about, whereas a lot of films, you're waiting for the lighting to get done and everything. So you have to develop a great deal of patience in the working of it. But, I mean, theatre's just, it's a different animal. And as a different animal, it has a different set of fears and gratitudes at the same time.
It's wonderful to see you in any medium, and I really appreciate you making time for us tonight.
Not at all. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brian Cox, everybody. The season 3 finale of Succession airs Sunday at 9 p.m. on HBO and is available to stream on HBO Max. And do check out his book as well.